It's the Sittin Sportside podcast.
Can't wait.
With Mike James.
Come on, man.
John Longton.
Take that for data.
Cody Marshall.
Did you just get here? Can you give him your notes?
And Eric Hanman.
I have dedicated my life to this team, okay?
On 1045theteam.com.
And welcome into the podcast. I'm Eric Hanman along with my fellow podcasters, not Mike James today, Cody Marshall and John Longton. How you guys doing today, fellas?
Doing great. How you doing?
Pretty good. It's a wonderful Sunday.
Anything on top of your mind on your Sunday? Well, it's May 7th. Can't believe it's already May. Cliche, right? Anything on your mind sports-wise? Get off your chest. You got Dolphins jersey. You know, Mr. Uncreative over here. I'm repping John Wall. So, anything. No, wow, look at the preparation of this show. Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. But you know what we have to talk about?
You just caught me off guard. I didn't know the mics were on.
Oh, the mics are hot.
I didn't even know we were doing a show today,
hot.
to be honest.
Yeah.
All of the negative attention surrounding the New York Mets. That's the only thing that's really caught my eye. Like, when people were going down with injuries, I'm like, okay, they're the team this year that's getting hampered by the injury bug early. Like, it'll come around. No, this is like has snowballed into something much bigger, and I really think they're definitely in trouble. I don't think this is something they're going to recover from by the end of the season.
No? Doesn't do it for you?
Same old, man. This is the story last year. It's just a little more amplified because Syndergaard went down, but it's the same old.
I just want to say that I think they're screwing themselves with that picture that just came out the other night.
Well, you could see that has two meanings.
Yeah. Little double entendre.
Double entendre.
Out of the gate.
Is Plawecki, he's the backup catcher, isn't he? Like, he's not even their normal everyday starter, correct?
No, not at all.
How do you think
he's actually their third catcher? Because you have Darnell 1 and Rene Rivera 2. He's kind of like half backup. Give him some credit, I guess.
Have they released a statement on what that thing was doing there? Actually, give a little background. People don't know what we're talking about.
I don't know if this is something we really want to go a background on. I don't know. TJ Rivera was the man of the night, and I forgot what the score of the game was, but they won. He had a big solo home run first of the year and had a couple of other big plays. Boom, shakalaka. TJ Rivera, player of the game, and they take a picture of him in front of his locker, post it on the Twitter, but then Plawecki's locker is also in it, and then there is this object that, you know, is very, well, how should I say, suggesting they caught your eye, I guess. It didn't catch my eye when I first looked at the picture, and then, you know, keep swiping on the other Twitter accounts, and they zoom in on it. And, okay, all right.
Twitter roasted the Mets, by the way.
Well, that's what...
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a sex toy, if anyone's wondering what was in his locker. I don't know if we're dancing around.
We were dancing, but I'm glad you came out and said it, because what else are we going to...
Someone's got to have the cojones to say it.
That's not the issue. I don't think Cody was going
I just think
for.
It's hilarious, though. I just think that's like the icing on the cake right now with the Mets.
Think about how much hazing goes on in these locker rooms, though. I mean, that just seems like something that, well, I don't know. I feel like Cody might know something that we don't, but Plawecki released a statement. I didn't really read it.
He just basically tried to defend himself, and obviously,
I think it's a hazing
thought.
I think it's a hazing
like that,
thing.
It's
not
some
like
type
he
of
just
joke
keeps it
and
there.
just happened wrong. The picture was taken at the wrong time there, and he basically said it has nothing to do with my character or anything like that. But I mean, in addition to that, now you've got Matt Harvey suspended for 3 games, and this is your guy who got a nickname. The Dark Knight was the leader of the Mets.
He's been the odd man out the last couple of years, right? I mean, that's what I've kind of.
Well, how many starts is a 3-game suspension though? How many starts is he theoretically going to miss?
A 3-game suspension?
Maybe not even 1.
Yeah,
none.
Yeah, exactly. It's a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
So what is it? What is it even saying? I think it's just creating locker room issues to even give him the suspension, to be honest.
True.
Because if you really want to say something, you say, all right, you're going to miss your next start or your next 2 starts. But a 3-game suspension, these guys rest for 4 games anyway, right?
Well, what's the more background on this? What was the conduct detrimental to the team?
He missed being at the ballpark Saturday night for getting a migraine, which I get migraines and they're terrible. They're really debilitating.
Without letting them know, like when Derrick Rose went AWOL, just no one knew he was going home to Chicago, and then no one knew where he was. Bahari didn't let anybody know where he was going, basically.
Yeah, but
is that what happened?
Is that what happened?
I would assume so. I mean, I would. So, I feel like he wouldn't get suspended if someone was notified ahead of time.
I mean, like starting pitchers, honestly, and maybe we're wrong here. I know they have to throw bullpens in between when it's like 2 days until their start. They throw a bullpen, whatever. But I mean, from what I understand, a pitcher doesn't need to even be at games for 4. It's just like, you want to be with your team, but if you're a starting pitcher, if you're having a migraine, stay away from the team. You don't have to be hanging around the team all the time.
It's got no effect on the outcome of the game, whether or not he's in the stadium.
All right, so thank you, Cody, for that. And now it's time to ask. What up, John? What do you got? What do you got for me?
Man, I'll tell you what. I hate saying this right now, but the Yankees are on fire, and I'm kind of nervous and I'm kind of scared.
Well, there's nothing to be scared about unless you're a Red Sox fan.
That I am.
All right, but no, I would be more. Well, I guess as a Red Sox fan, that is the correct adjective.
We have so much we have high expectations for the Sox this year. It's World Series or bust. Be honest. And the Yankees, they weren't even expected to make the playoffs.
See, this is where I get. Well, that's fair. That
I would love to be in that position.
This is where I get I don't know. Why were they not expected to make the playoffs? I mean, it's just.
Well, it's a loaded division. First,
it's a loaded division, but like the way the MLB is set up, every team at the beginning of the season, when I look at it, it could go one way or the other. So when I looked at the Kansas City Royals, I said, if they can hit, I think their pitching will be good enough. Well, guess what? They can't hit this year. That's why they're one of the worst teams.
Yankees are cranking on all cylinders, though. And then have Chapman at the end just to be able to close out games at will.
Don't yeah, I hear that, Chapman, but don't short end the rest of that bullpen, man.
No, the bullpen's doing a great job.
Adam
the
Warren,
whole staff.
Tyler Clippard. I don't even care about Betances because he just does his thing. Yeah, you're right. They're clicking on all cylinders, but it's hard to why were they not considered? Because Didi's part of their long-term plans. Judge was part of their long-term plans. Sanchez was out a lot of this run, but
yeah, but you look at a guy like Judge who kind of burst on the scene this year. He never hit over 300 in the minor leagues.
Yeah, but that's not going to last. I don't think.
Right, but I mean, you can't depend on that. If a guy never hit over 300 in the minor leagues.
Ever hit over 350 to start a month and a half in the season? He's doing it right now for the White Sox. And it doesn't necessarily that is going to continue.
But that's why there's low expectations.
I feel like as a media, you're supposed to all over what Judge is doing, which is 100%. It's great. It's fantastic. We couldn't expected anything better than what Judge is doing. But when Aaron Judge came up last year with Tyler Austin on the same day, and Gary Sanchez was in the same vicinity.
He hit a home run his first at bat.
Well, yeah, he hit a home run the first at bat. But who was the player you were more thinking was going to have a run like that, like Sanchez did down the stretch? Sanchez or Judge? I thought if you would have asked me back in August, I would have told you it was Judge. It ended up being Sanchez, and then now we're seeing what Judge is doing now. It's not that surprising for me, but it just seems to be more like people want to awe over it. It's just what we expected. If you really, I'm being frank with you, Cody.
Well, I just want to go back because we were talking about them clicking on all cylinders. Are they really clicking on all cylinders right now?
It's a lot of the offense bailing them out in certain instances.
And that's what I was going to say is because right now,
I think it's
Sabathia's last 3 starts.
To his points, it's only CeCe. It really is only CeCe that is the concern. Because Pineda's pitched pretty well. Severino's been pretty solid, as well as Montgomery's been above and beyond what you expected from that fifth starter position. It's really just been CeCe. So I guess not all cylinders. If you want to get technical.
One cylinder is misfiring. One cylinder is misfiring.
Gosh.
But that's the thing. And
go back to wherever you know.
And like you were saying, I think it is more the offense has been bailing them out in certain situations. That comeback against Baltimore.
They were down 2-0 in the Cubs game the other day when Gardner was down to the last strike. And he has a 3 home run, and that's a win that they basically stole from them.
And then last night against the Cubs again, you score 5 runs in the first inning, and I mean, even a mediocre pitcher is going to love that and be able to handle that. And Jordan Montgomery pitched really well for a guy who hasn't been in the major leagues that long. But that's my biggest concern with the Yankees is if CeCe and I really can't see the pitching being this consistent all throughout the year. I think it's going to have its ups and downs like every rotation does.
It's fair. No, it's definitely fair to say that.
Is if the offense stops, I think the Yankees run into trouble. And especially with Baltimore as close as they are right now, that's impressive for the Orioles because I don't think the Orioles really have a great pitching staff. But they've got the offense to do it.
Right.
And so I think that's going to be one of the more intriguing matchups down the stretch. But no, what Aaron Judge has done, I mean, number one, it helps that he's batting in Yankee Stadium, even though some of them are no doubters for sure. But his offensive production, I mean, has been great. And not only him, Matt Holliday is like an unsung hero right now. He's homered, I feel like, 3 times this past week? I only know that because John Sterling keeps singing Happy Holidays, and it wouldn't get picked by any of the voice coaches.
Holiday.
On
The Voice?
Yeah, I just don't.
I think it's 3. He hit the walk-off. He hit one the other day in the first inning when they were down 4-0, and they hit go back to 4-3. That's another example. That was a CC start. The thing about Matt Holliday is exactly that. He's very inconsistent at times, but he's getting on base. That's what really gets me with him, and that's with a lot of these players, including Chase Headley. Starlin's getting on base a lot with the average. He doesn't walk as much, but it's the on base that's really done it for the guys at the top of the order, including guys like Headley, and it's kind of been the people being able to step in, right? Like Aaron Hicks not being an everyday player, but still being able to come in and go 3 for 6 the other night. But I believe that's what it was. And hit a home run and be fresh off the bench. That's what's really been impressive from that point of view. And Torres not missing a beat after now being relegated to bench play when Didi came back. So it's been a lot of next man up and a lot of they're just having fun, it seems like, and the players that are coming in aren't mad that they're not playing. They're just happy to get time on a team that is going so well.
Right. And
now, speaking of the Orioles, they just got Chris Tillman back, but I'd be remiss if we don't bring up the topic of this past week, right? In baseball, seemed to be a lot going on in Boston.
Yeah.
Now, we can stay away from one of the issues, but do we want to talk about the whole will they, won't they with Manny Machado?
Yeah, I was against it, to be honest.
Listen, I have a hot take on it. You guys can have the conventional take. Maybe you'll agree with me, but go ahead.
I think that Pedroia and Machado already settled it. You know, they were kind of yelling at each other from the dugout and in the batter's box. You know, Pedroia was saying it wasn't me, this and that. But the pitching staff still went out there and threw at him. So, like, that kind of, you know, gave us a black eye as a franchise because we didn't really look too good there.
Right.
But I want to hear what you got to say. Let's
hear Cody first.
All right, Cody.
I've never seen a series that had so many different topics involved in it. We had the Machado issue.
That wasn't baseball.
The Adam Jones issue with fans chanting racist,
that was
racial
the one
slurs
that we weren't
at
going to
him.
bring up. But yeah, you're right.
We were staying away from that one.
Come on, man.
And then I felt that they more than made up for it by giving him a standing ovation in the next game.
More than made up for
and then
it.
threw him out.
Now you've also got...
No, Red Sox fans aren't known for giving any other opposition anything, really.
And then the other issue that I thought was apparent in this was how much of an environment in a series can influence the umpires. Sam Holbrook took that third game and made it all about himself. That curveball that hit Bogarts, 77-mile-an-hour curveball. I mean, I've never seen a catcher flip out as much as the one for the Orioles Caleb Joseph, because he thought that was a curveball.
He was livid, yeah.
Buck Showalter came out. Gossman's trying to argue, and then Adam Jones. I mean, Adam Jones, obviously, you're arguing balls and strikes, you're probably going to go, but you've got the MLB has to do a better job of controlling the games, early, which they could have done early on, but not letting the umpires use what has happened in the series to influence certain events in especially the rubber match of a game, even though it's this early in the season. I thought that the slide Machado had into Pedroia was the dirtiest slide I've ever seen. No, because it took like 2 or 3 times to look at it and I'm like, all right,
well, first
I can understand why you're mad.
They came up with a rule. I mean, Chase Utley, you know, poor little Ruben Tejada hasn't been able to get an everyday position anywhere else. I think he's actually in the Yankee system right now, but that slide, it was the slide heard around the world at that point. I mean, they dealt with it the next year. It's a rule now. I mean, if you have a dirty slide, it will be, a guy at first is now out. Like, even if he had no chance to get the guy at first, that guy's out now. Mm-hmm. So, right? Isn't that how it works? Yeah. So, they've witnessed it. So, I just feel like, we saw Odor last year. There's still, I feel like, was it an issue before? Maybe. But I feel like once the Utley thing happened and they made it a rule, I felt like we were getting a lot more of uprising on these sides now.
That was more of a touchy thing.
Yeah, it's now more of a touchy thing. Than before, it was just kind of like, he's just playing hard. He's just going hard into second base. Now it's like, this big thing that Odor has to go and punch Bautista, and the Red Sox have to retaliate because of it. Because Pedroia missed what, a game or two after that,
right? And this is the whole thing is now you're taking, so Gausman gets ejected for a 77-mile-an-hour curveball, and it was Sale who threw it.
Yeah, it was
Sale.
Machado
threw 98
Machado.
miles. I mean,
Well,
come
here's
on.
the thing. Okay,
Which
so
one's going to do more damage there? And not only that, but did Pedroia miss a game? I don't think he did he? He was back the next day.
He might have been. I don't know. I thought he missed a game or two, but fact checker.
Well, now because I think about it, because when they were talking, he was in a sweatshirt, or in a hoodie, so I think he did miss a game. But one game,
sign.
I mean, one game of 162,
right, I mean,
and you're gonna get a day off at some point, anyways. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So here's my thought. I mean, dating back to what was the April 23rd game, or whatever it was when that actually happened, they ended up throwing at Machado, then Eduardo Rodriguez. He was the one that I believe also threw at him. He's the one that right. Am I right? Rodriguez also threw out Machado in that series.
Yes.
And they missed him a few more times.
Yes.
And then
he got thrown out a couple times.
So I honestly have no problem with dusting a guy. I know throwing behind a guy is one thing, but are you gonna tell me that Chris Sale didn't want to just nail Manny Machado? He wouldn't have just nailed him. I mean, Chris Sale's the best pitcher
he threw behind
possibly
him,
in the American League. Exactly my point.
You think he threw behind him to
just get in his head a little bit? Because I know Machado homered later in the game off of Sale, but before that he struck out twice. Maybe he got in his head a little bit. That's part of the game. Chin music. That was a thing in baseball all the time.
Chin music.
So you take
my favorite phrase of all time. Chin music.
So you start taking these things away from baseball. Like I know people are, they gotta deal with this. We've heard our own constituents on here at 1045theteam.com saying that type of stuff. I don't see that big of an issue with it. I know keep away from the head, and for the people making the living like a Gerard Dyson or Billy Hamilton, keep it away from the legs that make them a living. But I'm fine with, like, if you're gonna try to get in someone's head as a pitcher. If Chris Sale wanted to hit him, he would have hit him. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know.
Well, he's not usually used to throwing at that.
It's
spot,
really no problem. And honestly, Machado going on a sex-curved rant after the game just left another bad taste in my mouth. Because Buck Showalter wants to commend him for being such the bigger person, but I don't think the bigger person goes on and drops 70 expletives in an interview.
True.
So, and who wouldn't want to throw out Machado, a guy who stares at his shot? Because don't forget, game one of that series, he hit a home run, and he admired that thing almost as much as Jose Bautista in that playoff game against the Rangers. I mean, and he trots around the bases like there's nothing else. There's not any game left. It's like, that's the end of the game. So let me just shot and go 2 miles an hour on the bases. I mean, so there might have been even more to it than just that one slide. I think it has to do with Machado showing them up after. Okay, so like, you threw at me the last series. I hit a home run against you. I won. And they were like, no. Because Machado is a very cocky guy. And as a Yankee fan, I do not like him. I know we have fellow Yankee fans around these parts who were really pressing for a 2018 free agency signing of Machado and Bryce Harper. I'll take one of them, as in I'll take Bryce. No way they're getting both. That's a completely different story. But I just don't think it's that big of a deal, to be honest with you. Because if Sale wanted to hit him, he would have hit him. That's how I look at it. And if you start taking away that stuff, well, now I can't throw on the inside corner of the plate. So now if I'm, say I want to pitch on the inside corner, and if I miss a little too far inside and it looks like I'm potentially throwing at a guy, I'm going to get tossed. So it changes what a pitcher can and cannot do if they really do something to address it. Now, if you can't throw behind a batter, I guess that's fine. But you better not overthrow it too much, because then you're out of the game. I don't know.
No, I agree, and that's like what you're talking about, taking away the inside corner of the plate. Kevin Gausman, he throws a curveball that he was trying to hit the inside part of the plate. It ends up catching Bogarts, and it hits him. Right. It gets him tossed from the game.
These guys aren't robots out there. I know we want the umpires to be robots now, but the pitchers aren't robots. They're not going to get it perfect every single time, and the only person that might is Clayton Kershaw.
Do you think the other three umpires looked at that, and when he tossed them, kind of thought to themselves, like, what is he getting us into right now? Like, I feel like they all have each other's backs. But I looked at that and I was like, one of those other 3 guys has to be like, I wouldn't have even tossed him. Like that wouldn't have been my knee-jerk reaction right there.
It's
Has
almost
that ever
as if-
happened?
What?
An ump made a call, and then the other ump's like, Jesus.
Probably.
I don't know what he's doing. But you have to stand with the call.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm sure that there's probably crews out there that just are very upset.
Because once you toss, you toss. You can't get,
no, not at all.
reacclimated.
The one that definitely had to been like, oh well, he definitely
that's the
missed
thing.
it,
I was gonna say-
Jim Joyce's imperfect game. I mean, his other 3 partners had to
that
have been
was
like,
messed up.
Yeah.
he was out by a step.
I was also going to say, like, possibly when you look at that guy who I forgot what the umpire's name was that threw him out of the game.
Holbrook, yeah, Sam
Yeah,
Holbrook.
he in a way though isn't he kind of showing up his crew because they rotate. So basically, he's kind of like saying to the guy who might be at third base, I don't know, whatever, the one who didn't throw a sail out of the game, like, all right, man, this is how you're supposed to do this job. Like maybe he's trying.
They got
to be
little locker room issues going on, these guys?
Yeah, like he was trying to lecture him, like, you gotta take control of this game, and like, yo, dude, it's so hard. Well, let me show you. And then the guy gets hit. You know what? I'm gonna teach my umpire friend a
I
lesson
think in
here.
MLB, they insert themselves way too much into the game. You know what I'm saying? Just out of all the
Well, here's
traditional
another thing.
sports.
Here's another thing. There was a game the other day when it was a Yankee game. I believe it was against the Blue Jays. Yes, it was. And Russell Martin's, it was the last out of the game, and Russell Martin swung and missed. But it hit him in the shoulder. But they thought it was a foul tip, so they call it a foul tip. But they can't review it. It's clearly on replay. He swung and missed, and it hits him, which is the swing supersedes the hit by pitch. Strike 3. He's out of the game. And we have replay. We're sitting there, and the yes guys are saying, "Oh, that's clear," and we're sitting there for another 2-3 minutes for them to be like, because now they're Girardi, whoever it was, Girardi might have been out of the game at that point. Whoever was, Robbie Thompson, whatever, was like saying, "You guys got to talk about this. Like, check it. You can review it." And then you have the other umps like talking for 2 to 3 minutes about, well, did it? What do you think? And they just leave it the way it is. But it was perfectly reviewable. So what I know it creates like a slippery slope of what is reviewable and what's not reviewable. But that's something that just seems so easy to review. Game over. Move on. But I guess not.
Baseball is hesitant to embrace the whole review system. They're
so. I feel like it's the easiest sport to review.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I mean, you got all your purists and your
Whatever
numbers
happens, like,
guys.
the tie goes to the runner is no longer a thing. Like, it is, like, if the ball goes in the glove as someone stepping
there's
on a
no
base,
such thing
it
as a
is.
tie, I mean.
But like, we never hear that anymore. Like, oh, it looks like it was a tie, so tie goes to the runner. It's no. Now you're heavily and getting deep into reviewing these things.
It's in the early part of the season. Every time I thought I saw a review, like obviously we all do, we all look at it and we're like,
the first
okay,
game for
safe
the
or out.
Yankees, yeah, that was.
And it seemed like every time you thought by looking at all the camera angles you had a definitive answer, it went the other way. And it almost made me think that they're like, if it's close enough to where we thought we could sell it, like we're sticking with what he said. Because there were some camera angles where you look at them and you're like, that's dead set safe or dead set out. Like you can't miss that. The camera angle shows it right there. But maybe another angle was more questioning, and I get it. You got to have indisputable video evidence. But there were some views where you're like, yeah, he's out, and then all of a sudden safe, and you're like, I don't know how.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I think it's fine. I think that the review is fine, but at the same time, there's certain things that maybe they should expand to, I guess. I don't know. We'll see what they do with it, because I know Manfred is... And that's another thing real quick that I guess we can get into before we get into our Bet the Ranch segment, is I know, like, I feel like the sport, to our point, the sport that's really trying to change things is baseball, because I think, oh, it's too boring, we need to shorten the games, we got to do this, and that. Am I the only one that feels like the sport that needs to do something in terms of the big major four sports is the NBA? Because I will liken it to a TV show where the first 18 episodes are garbage. Just garbage episodes. Just tune in for the finale. Isn't it starting to turn into just tune in for Warriors Cavs in the finals?
Well, you're talking about season, not game, though, right now.
What's that?
You're talking season, not game. Shortening a season instead of a game. I totally agree.
Shortening a season, but that's also part of... I know it's two different things, but it is the same. Because you're still trying to get viewers. So by shortening the game, it's supposed to get viewers. For me, for basketball, it's like the games aren't competitive. Even the regular season games enough to me to be like, Like, am I really gonna want to watch it? Because here I am watching the Chicago Bulls, or
Yeah, half
I'm
the
watching
teams
the
make the
Indiana
playoffs.
Pacers play. And do I really think this team has a really chance to win the NBA championship? No.
It's a 2-team race this year anyway.
Right. Every other sport, we're seeing it in hockey this year. Blackhawks out first round. Last year, and we've seen in the MLB, we've seen the 5th wildcard team at this point win the World Series, or at least make it to the World Series. So, or the 5th team, not wildcard team, but the 2nd wildcard team. So, in the NFL, we all know, the Packers of the world that have won as a 6th seed. So, I mean, at what point is basketball just so uncompetitive to where I guess it's never really going to lose a following, but I just feel like it's so uncompetitive until the finals, and you're just like, okay, because the way I feel cheated this year, and I know we still have conference finals to go, and this Celtics Wizards series is actually really fun to watch, but I just feel cheated because I pay attention all year long, and there's no one really giving. Like, it's like everyone knows it was be Cavs Warriors, but still in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what, someone's going to challenge him. Someone's going to challenge him. All right, maybe they'll go 6 games in the first round. No, sweeps. Okay, maybe second round. Maybe the Jazz. Gobert is going to match up well with the Warriors. Nope. Oh, the Raptors, they got experience. Nope. They're going to get, they could get swept. So there's just the competitiveness for me. I've started to feel cheated as a fan. Like, okay, maybe I shouldn't even, start paying attention to the playoffs. And even in the playoffs, only pay attention until it gets to the finals. Because that's just how it just feels like. It's like no other team has a chance other than the Cavs or Warriors.
Well, how long are the playoffs, time-wise?
Almost 3 months. It starts in mid-April, and then the finals start in like mid-June, or
Yeah.
or early.
Maybe
June.
just shorten those series down a little. Like every.
Well, they used to be 3 out of 5 the first round.
Right. It used to be, and then they made it longer. You got to make your money and your advertising and stuff like that. But maybe shorten the series for the first couple of rounds.
Yeah,
which will never happen. Once
No, it won't.
Once you go to 7, I feel like you'll never go back from 7.
Is it maybe lowering the salary cap? I don't know. I think that would do it, so that you can't have a super teams. I mean, what do you think?
It's hard because J.J. Redick made the point that ever since they started super teams, it was something along the lines of like you've had a variety of teams actually win the title. It wasn't just that super team over and over and over again. I mean, you've had the Cavaliers, the Heat, the Warriors. Everybody
the Mavericks is the only outlier, I feel like, though.
Weren't the Bulls a super team, and the Lakers a super team, and the Spurs?
Oh yeah,
kind
the
of
ones that won
team?
in the 90s. But look at the peak of basketball, and I like to consider myself maybe a basketball historian. Just looking at the 80s, and it's awesome. Because you have teams from everywhere could win. I know you got a lot of Celtics Lakers, but not everyone was Celtics Lakers.
Well, the best part about
the Rockets were in there. The Sixers also won a title in there. So it wasn't the first back-to-back in that one was the Lakers in the late 80s.
What if you cut down the number of teams that make the playoffs? Because it's so annoying to see.
Well, that's
it used to be the Eastern Conference,
stereotypically
stereotypically Eastern Conference. You're getting in a 2-game under, 5-game under team, under 500 is going to make the 7 or 8 spot.
Right.
Now if you cut it down to 6, you give your top 2 seeds a first round bye.
Well, I think another reason, right, is they're saying, to your point, not to interrupt, but to your point, I think another problem with it might be this trust in the process type thing. Where it's like, we're better off not making the playoffs. Because what was the problem? What was the real theme of the Knicks towards the end of the season? What are you trying to make the playoffs for?
Right.
You got to get a better pick.
Well, that was the fan base, though, more or less. They were still trying to win
I know
ball
that's
games.
the fan base, but that's where the fan base is at, right?
Yeah, but
And look where the Nets were at.
You can't really admit that you're
going to
tank.
Nets are at. The Nets don't even have their pick, and they're still the worst team. Sorry, that's a personal complaint.
Yeah.
But then you've also got like the NBA, like the NHL, has a lottery. So even if like you say you can tank, but there's nothing that guarantees. I mean, I get it. You got a better percentage of getting that number 1.
They could have got Jalen
pick.
Wall. Nope, they get the 3rd pick in that draft. End up with Derek Favors. Trade him for Darren Williams.
You know what I want to go to? Remember
Didn't
back
work
in the day when guys didn't like each other and they played for that team?
Right.
And it was just heated rivalries.
I think LeBron's starting to become more of like kind of embracing a villainous aspect of
yeah,
it
but
right
he's
now.
friends with everybody. It's a
He's
fraternity.
definitely had more of an edge this past year. I feel like he's come out and like.
Well, he's got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah,
How is he not in
exactly.
the MVP talk when he's putting up all these phenomenal numbers?
He is in the MVP talk.
Well, he is, but
he's
I mean,
naturally always in the MVP talk. Everyone's talking about him. If there's a year he shouldn't have been in the MVP talk, not like I agree with this statement, but like if there's a year he shouldn't have been in the MVP talk, I think it's this year. But
We'll sidestep that.
personally how I feel.
That's another Pandora's box we don't want to open.
Right.
What I'm saying is like guys used to hate each other, and it was great. You know what I'm saying? Like
it was a mutual respect. Bird and Larry didn't hate Bird and Larry. Bird and Magic. Bird and Magic. They didn't like necessarily hate each other. They just had a mutual respect because.
What about the Pistons and Bulls though? Back in the day, you know,
right?
These guys hated each other.
They did hate each other.
You'll never see that ever again.
Pistons walking off the court. Isaiah Thomas leading that out. And for those of you listening, the younger viewers, there was another Isaiah Thomas who won 2 championships back in the late '80s, early '90s.
Also ran the Knicks into the ground.
He did do that. He did do that.
Pacers, Pistons, with the fight with
Pacers,
Artest.
Knicks, Pacers, Pistons, right with that as well. That was early thousands. That was like 4-ish.
Speaking of Pacers, on this day, Reggie Miller scored 8 points in 9 seconds to beat the Knicks,
against the
in
Knicks.
the playoffs.
That was a real, choke.
Yeah, remember when he did that to Spike?
Yeah, exactly. That was a great series, and that's another one we're talking about. And that was Ewing and
they hated each other.
The bunny.
It's just nowadays, with free
don't really
agency
feel it.
and
guess what? I just defended LeBron a bit. Maybe he's having a little more of an edge, but he kind of hurts it because they ask, "Do you have a rivalry with the Warriors?" Nah, man, I don't think we have a rivalry with the Warriors. So
there's definitely a rivalry there.
Okay, you're gonna meet in the finals for a third straight year, possibly. So most likely.
Would you rather have 2 super teams meet in the finals every year, or just 2 random teams meet in the finals every year?
Well,
we're talking parity here. We want to get back to things being more even, but I kind of love the finals. The finals are great having those 2
that's
teams.
what I'm talking about. I mean, we're talking like the best
right
finale.
Now we're all like, all right, whatever. But once we get to the finals, it's great.
It's great.
Christmas.
Every other day, the one day you got the NBA finals, the next day you got Stanley Cup playoff finals. I mean, it's a great. June's a great time of the year, and then obviously baseball's still going on. But that was my point to begin the segment. I mean, it's like the finale being really, really good, but the rest of the season's lackluster. And you don't. And it's like I'll just tune in at the finale. I feel like that's where we're at with The Walking Dead. Now I don't watch The Walking Dead. I don't actually, so I don't even know why I'm saying this, but I've heard that's what it's like to watch The Walking Dead. Walking Dead, Cody?
I don't watch it.
Right.
No.
But sorry, but that was supposed to be.
You watch any shows?
I watch a lot of shows. I just don't watch Walking Dead.
But to go along with that, one of the teams that I'm really, I mean, I don't watch a whole lot of basketball, so I can't really say I like to watch it, but I'm glad to see that they are where they are, is the Utah Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
This was a team that
I'm not.
When
Derek Favors, Nets pick.
They got rid
Joe
of
Johnson, former Net.
They got who was the coach that was?
No, I'm kidding.
The coach that was there for what was it? Jerry Sloan.
Jerry Sloan. We're talking about the good old days.
And then all of a sudden he retires. I get it. And then
you got Tyron Corbin there for a little bit.
He leaves, and the Jazz fell off. And
I thought
everybody
he had a beef with Darren Williams. That's why he left.
There was a little beef with Darren. Darren, I feel like didn't want to buy into his system, and there was a little beef there. You're right. But he was also getting up there in age. Once in a million.
And going into this year, there was a whole bunch of people saying, "Oh, the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to be a playoff team this year." Well, and then they get off to a horrible start, and you're like, if they're going to recover from it, they've got to do it really quickly.
But here's the thing, Karl Anthony Towns is an outlier. Not a lot of guys coming out of college nowadays. They're not coming out of college ready to go.
Right.
And that's what we saw this year with Chris Dunn. I mean, he wasn't ready to go for them, and therefore I think that's might be buying into why the league isn't 100% competitive. It doesn't really make sense, but in a way it does though, because you really weed out who the real guys are if they don't develop their games in college. Now we're taking a chance on some of these guys, like a Derek Williams, 2nd overall pick. That didn't pan out in the NBA. I mean, I'm not even sure he was a freshman coming out. Not that I say that, but still.
But this is what I'm saying is Utah stayed
Jordan 3 years,
the course.
Magic 2 years, Larry 4. But go ahead.
But the Jazz stayed the course. They went through the bad times, and they stuck and built around Gordon Hayward, who now
is going to go to the Celtics.
Well, even if he does that, but he is probably one of the most underrated guys in the Western
Well, they love that
Conference.
nightlife up there in Utah. Those Jazz.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, you look.
I heard Dan Patrick on Dan Patrick's show. He said that he was covering a game out there. It was the Bulls Jazz, and the Bulls had a great time. He was at the club with Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, I'm sure there's stuff to do out there. I mean, I feel like that was just a dumb like tactic. I know it was Matt Barnes. Matt Barnes is a troublemaker. I mean, it was just a dumb
Since
thing
when?
to say. Just ask Derek Fisher.
By the way, we completely skipped over. You talked about how the Celtics Wizards series is a really fun one to watch.
Yeah, it
how
really
about
is.
the two Kellys, Oubre and Olynyk, going after each other? I remember watching that. I was at work, and a customer looked up at the TV, and we were like, "I don't understand why that's a foul. Like, there's just a hard screen and everything." Like, we were joking around about it.
Yeah.
But how out of hand that game got. I mean, when Brad Stevens gets a technical, you know something is wrong.
True. I think Oubre was... No, I mean, listen, Olynyk has history. I mean, just the Cavs a couple of years ago, right? Kevin Love, first round, arm out of his socket. Thanks, Olynyk. So he does have a history of being kind of dirty. And even in this series, you can kind of tell he pushes on rebounds and when he's trying to get position, illegal contact. But what does Oubre think? Like, I just like, what... Did he mean to push him, do you think?
You mean after the whistle was blown?
Yeah, I feel like-
absolutely.
I thought he was just. I thought maybe he just didn't know. You know, like Ricky Bobby didn't know what to do with his hands, and he was going up to get in his face, and he didn't really know what to do with his hands, so he kind of looked like he was pushing him, but he was really just trying to get up in his face, and then it turned into a push. No.
No, I think he had it dead set that he was going after him. I think that was the way he went
All
up
right.
to him, and then
All right, it's time to move on to a nice segment we call Bet the Ranch.
I bet the ranch.
All right, NFL draft happened over a week now, but we didn't get to talk about it. We didn't get to react. We just got to predict some things. And now this segment's called Bet the Ranch. We're going to bet the ranch on, honestly, guys, I'm going to let you bet the ranch on anything that you want in terms of the NFL draft. It could be on a team's draft as a whole. You'll bet the ranch on that draft. Bet the draft on a player. Heck, you can bet the ranch that Drew Pearson, next time he'll announce a pick. I don't know. I was gonna come up with something creative. I didn't follow through. But bet the ranch on something. If you want me to go first, I can. Or if you have some, and John, go ahead.
I just want to bet the ranch that John Lynch finessed that whole draft, and he's got that franchise moving in the right direction. It's pretty impressive that this is his first experience drafting players and trading and doing this and doing that, and he did well for himself, and I think he's got that franchise moving in the right direction.
It doesn't hurt that everyone's getting on the Bears for what they
It could
took.
work out. You
Right,
never know.
it could.
It really could. If Mitchell Trubisky is the guy, say he's a Joe Montana or a Dan Marino or something
Right.
like that.
But you definitely
would want to go
but you
after him like
definitely-
that.
Right. And you definitely take it if you're Lynch. You don't want Trubisky. You end up getting your guy anyway at the third pick. So, yeah, you take that 100% every day of the week.
You think Lynch was bluffing the Bears, saying he's taking calls from this team, that team, the other team?
He might have been,
He had to have. He had to have.
but maybe he was. Ever think of that?
No.
You're giving him credit for bluffing, but what if he actually did have other calls from other teams and they didn't give as much?
True. But he did a great job.
Right. He got his guy.
guy.
The Bills did a similar thing.
He got his guy at the end of the first round. The same guy he was going to take in the beginning, right?
yeah.
No, he got the next pick. They traded down one pick. And then
no, because they got
they got another.
oh my God,
Are you talking about the Bills?
Solomon Thomas. They got Solomon Thomas out of Stanford with the third pick, who is a
Are
guy.
you talking about the Bills, John?
No, he was
No,
talking about.
then
he
they
was
got
talking
The
about-
Bills did that.
But
Sorry.
They got Solomon Thomas with a third pick, who there was rumored that the Bears were the Niners thought the Bears were going to take Thomas instead of Trubisky.
Right. And that's what they won.
And then they traded back into the draft and took Reuben Foster out of Alabama,
Yeah,
who
they
they
did,
thought
they did.
should have been a lot of people thought should have been a top 10 pick,
Right. There is injury concern there and
and
diluted samples.
personality. Yeah.
Diluted
Yeah.
sample.
But same thing with Jabril Peppers, and he got taken in the first round as well by a team I like. Their draft. I know people will laugh at me, but I like what the Browns did in the draft.
I agree.
Especially with the quarterback that they got. I know people are very don't really like Deshaun Kaiser. We talked about him on the show though. I think where they drafted him, it's perfectly fine to take a chance. It's not like they took a chance on when you take a chance on a quarterback like Trubisky, they're kind of similar players, right? You're still taking a chance on a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different skill sets. And one of them took a chance after getting 3 picks ahead of, and then one had to trade to get the second pick. So I think because I trust Hugh Jackson as a coach to be able to coach a guy like Deshaun Kaiser, and then get the 3 picks that they got up earlier. Obviously, the #1 overall pick in Myles Garrett. I like Jabril Peppers and the tight end that they got as well, I thought it was good. The tight end the Giants took, I'm not sure I would bet the ranch on that really paying huge dividends. But then again, they're a team that really likes to have weapons, so it could work out for them. I don't know. That's the Giants, but bet the ranch on the Browns. Who else was gonna say that? You guys expect that?
I expected somebody to say that.
Oh,
I mean,
shut
I
up.
did expect you to put in a comment that, hey, don't laugh at this, but no.
Well, you called it then.
With the Kaiser pick. I remember I was sitting in here watching, and people were talking about, oh, well, why haven't they drafted a quarterback yet?
You were in this room?
Yeah.
Oh, you were doing the Yankees game that night when we were just down the hall?
That was Mike James.
Oh, I must have been.
No, Kaiser got taken in the second round.
Oh, that was the next day. All right, I got you.
But I remember looking at the TV, and I'm like, with all this talk that they haven't taken a quarterback yet, Deshaun Kaiser's the only one that makes sense. And then, obviously, with a TV that doesn't have sound, it was nice to see Deshaun Kaiser's name come off the board.
But what about Davis Webb? You betting the ranch on him?
I'm not. I don't like the California.
Is this Hackenberg 2.0 in a way?
I don't understand. People will say that you can't just base it off the college.
At least the Giants
you
have
came
a
from,
quarterback, though, right?
But you're talking about the same system that Jared Goff has come out of. And I understand Jared Goff's young, but he didn't really prove anything in the first year. No, I didn't think so. I thought the Rams were horrible. When the Niners beat them twice.
Oh, man.
And this has come from a Niners fan. I was like, how do you...
I understand why quarterbacks are coveted, but why is it every single year they just kind of, like, shoot up the board and then they just... but it's like, the problem is they shoot up the board, and then 1 year, it's like, oh, my God, they're terrible.
It's because there's too much time in between playing and the actual draft itself. There's just too much talk. People move up and down people's boards.
The problem with Goff, and the problem with a lot of other quarterbacks that get taken like that, the coach that have it, they didn't want him, and it ruins everything. When the coach, so like, go back to the Ryan Leaf. Gilbride wanted him, he gets fired after 8 weeks. Jamarcus Russell, they wanted Lane Kiffin wanted Calvin Johnson, Davis wanted Jamarcus. That didn't work out. Same thing happened with the Rams. Now they're trying to fix it, but it's like you can't keep doing that. You have to really consult your staff. Look what the Jets did. They said, you know what? We have Todd Bowles. Even though he might even get fired at the end of this year, we're going to draft 4 defensive backs because guess what? This guy thrives with defensive backs. That's the type of draft you need to have based on what coach that you have.
Right.
You were saying, though.
I was saying that they're
Davis
come from the same program, California.
Right.
And I don't think the California program at best right now is yeah.
Like Taj Boyd didn't make it, but Deshaun Watson did. EJ Manuel was not a great first-round quarterback. Jameis Winston's looking fine.
But look, and Jameis Winston played at a pretty good Florida State program.
So you're saying the Cal system's awful. I got you.
I just don't think it's good enough to produce a quarterback that is going to be... I don't think it's going to produce the quarterback that's going to be the successor to Eli Manning. I mean, Eli Manning, even though...
Do we not think that Eli's going to last 4 more years? Or is the writing on the wall? Has Eli said something that we don't know about?
I think this is a pivotal year for Eli in that conversation.
Yeah.
If he has a good year, he will be around.
Well, he's got the weapons.
He does have exactly. There's no excuses. Well, actually, it depends on the line does as well. It all falls on the offensive line.
They really like Fluker, who they got from San Diego, and they really like what they got in the 6th round with the offensive lineman, and they signed 2 offensive linemen undrafted. So they're bullish on those guys. And I even think that Eric and Flowers can have a rejuvenation on the right side.
If they have a good line, I can see them having the best offensive in the league.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, and the tight end that they got too is more of a wide receiver. So we'll see.
And how about the thought now that teams now are drafting to their own division? Especially the NFC East, now that you brought it up, you had a lot of teams take offensive linemen and defensive linemen to combat the Dallas Cowboys having such a great offensive line because of what they did. But I think, to go back to the Giants, I think what they have done, when you look at their seasons ever since they started winning Super Bowls, I think that every year after year, they've at least put together teams that can compete. Whether they end up finishing 7-9, 9-7, whatever, it's always a team that on paper looks like it could win the division year after year after year. But, I mean, the NFC East is just such a tough division that...
My pick for the Super Bowl at the end of last season, and it's still going to be probably throughout the preseason, is going to be the Giants. I think the Giants are going to Super Bowl. So, and they're not doing anything to disprove me. I think I like what they've done. Obviously, they lose. Dang it! The defensive lineman that went to the Colts, but I think this will be fine on the defensive line because I think Thomas could fill in well. Anyone want to back me up on that?
I'm just still waiting for his bet the ranch.
That Giants? Do you know what I'm talking about? I'll look it up. You give me your bet the ranch.
My bet the ranch is the New Orleans Saints. This is a team that under Sean Payton went through a lot of ups at the start of it when they ended up making it to the Super Bowl, won the Super Bowl over the Colts, and then just completely turned around after the whole bounty scandal. And then their defense over the last few years has really been their Achilles heel because you got one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Drew Brees, who's going to air it out for thousands of yards every year, and they've got pretty decent weapons at the wide receiver position, but their defense is so bad that they have to score 52 points a game just to come away with a win. They go out, they get some defensive backs, some linebackers in order to get that, and they get one of the best offensive linemen in the draft, I thought, in Ryan Ramczyk.
Jonathan Hankins. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Cody.
Did you just not listen to a word he said? You were just
Jonathan Hankins. Jonathan
He just
Hankins.
listens to talk. He doesn't
Cody
li-
said
he
it all.
doesn't- he
Well,
just listens to
I
respond. He
wanna
doesn't listen
counter
to
your-
get the message.
I want to counter your point to a really big frustration of mine. So after the draft, Todd McShay and all the experts.
Todd.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Because him and Mel Kiper were doing this bracket. They called it the bracket. It was a draft bracket. Who had a good draft? Started the divisions. They got to the final. And who won the bracket? The New England Patriots. Now, the reason why it got me upset was because I get they traded draft picks to get Brandon Cooks. But when I'm watching a show about the draft, I really want to know about the team's draft, not about... Like, I get you turned a first rounder into Brandon Cooks. So to counter your point, who really won that deal? Both?
Which Brandon Cooks are you getting? Are you getting the first year Brandon Cooks that
It's not like he was
underachieved
awful
so-
last year, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is his first year in the league. Everybody expected him to be
I'm telling you right now.
their leading receiver.
I know I could be a paranoid Jets fan. But that's just you talk about the Yankees looking scary. This is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. A Brandon Cooks on that Patriots.
Yeah.
Right. And if you get last year's, like if he's able to continue on the path that he's going, okay. But the first year when everybody thought he was going to be a really
Right.
good rookie, he
Well,
was
they're
so
comfortable with
quiet for the
Mike
beginning
Thomas.
of the season.
The third. In the second year. He had a really good rookie year from Ohio State. So the Saints. So they were comfortable enough like that way to get rid of Cooks.
I was talking and I missed what name you said.
Oh, Mike Thomas, the third.
Correct.
From Ohio State.
Right.
Drafted last year in the first round. From Ohio State. Anyway.
No, the Ohio State.
The Ohio State. You know, better than Wisconsin, right? Anyway.
You had to throw that in there.
Shots,
didn't you?
shots
You had to throw
fired.
that in there. Hey, we had
I don't
two
even
first
like Ohio
rounders.
State.
We got another Watt brother in there. He's
Bet the
going to
ranch on
Pittsburgh.
Leonard Fournette. And bet the ranch on any LSU player taken in the first round.
All right,
Fournette.
here's my bold prediction.
Jamal
Here's my bold
Adams and
prediction.
Tre'Davious White.
You ready for this?
White.
Christian McCaffrey has a better rookie season than Leonard Fournette.
You're betting the ranch on that?
Yes. Because I'm going to tell you, because he's with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who I think are still rebuilding. I think they're on their way to being a more competitive team.
The reason why I'm a little suspect on that is, have we seen, I know the Panthers, you know, had a pretty good offense, but have we seen a running back be anything on the Panthers? Like, have we seen a running back similar to the Panthers
I could see-
under this regime?
I can see Christian McCaffrey having more all-purpose yards, but not more rushing yards.
Hot take? Not
So,
hot take, but, you know,
I just said
reasonable
a better rookie season. I didn't say that.
I know, no. We're talking about rookie season. We're talking about rookie season. But that's what I'm asking you, Cody, right now. I'm asking you. I'm looking you in the eyes. I'm looking you on the eyebrows. I don't know what I'm looking at, but I'm asking you, have we seen a back with the Panthers do something like this? How does he actually fit in? Because do we know if the offensive coordinator there, who is slipping my mind, is going to be able to, obviously he drafted him, but how is he going to use him? We haven't seen a screen game with the Panthers. We saw the Giants try to do it, and it didn't work out with Vereen. Can the Panthers actually do it? I agree that they could do it. I mean, it looks good on paper. It looks good in my envisioning it in my head with Cam Newton either running it or pitching it, and then the screenplay to McCaffrey. But have they done this before, and will it work out?
I get
Obviously,
what
you
you're
think
saying,
it does.
but I do, and I think that the Carolina Panthers were a team that I think they still got the pieces of a playoff team.
Mike Shula, by the way, who's the offensive coordinator of the Panthers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I think they've still got the pieces of a playoff team and of a contender, and
Not
just
a believer in him.
put it together last year, and that's why they missed out on it. But not only that, but
Yeah, but they've been Jonathan
Well, who got
Stewart.
hurt?
They got
Jonathan
rid of
Stewart
D'Angelo
kept
Williams,
getting
though.
hurt.
They could have kept D'Angelo Williams and done this stuff, but they got like, no, let's get rid of him. Why didn't they just keep D'Angelo Williams, my friend?
apparently
It's
they
not
saw
like he was
something-
over expensive. They're paying Le'Veon Bell and D'Angelo over there in Pittsburgh. He wasn't too expensive. So why not D'Angelo, man? If you didn't know how to use a D'Angelo, what makes you think you're going to be able to know how to use a Christian McCaffrey?
Because who gives you more options? Out of the two, McCaffrey or D'Angelo Williams? I think McCaffrey does because you don't have to line him up as a running back every single time. I think you could almost...
Williams is lined up as a receiver
Right.
with the Steelers.
But who's going to do it more? And who's going to give... I
Listen,
think
we've seen some monster games with Le'Veon Bell out by D'Angelo Williams. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, bro. Definitely.
No, I'm just saying I'm really suspect of like why get rid of D'Angelo Williams. Maybe they're rectifying a mistake, but they couldn't use D'Angelo Williams well enough. The new regime. I'm not saying that he didn't have good years, because D'Angelo Williams had some pretty good years with the Panthers, not necessarily under Ron Rivera and the Shula Club. But why get rid of D'Angelo when you could have just kept him and done this the last 2 years and then drafted McCaffrey now? Or, you know, but I'll agree with you that it's close knit. It's close knit. But guess what? Tom Coughlin knows what he's doing. He drafted Cam Robinson. That offensive line's going to be better. Tom Coughlin, the man. Bet the ranch on him. I bet the ranch on him every time. Jaguars going to be a better team this year, and it's going to be because Leonard Fournette and the offensive line has, you know, because the offensive line improved and Leonard Fournette. Any more bets on the ranch? Or a rebuttal? Nope, he's stunned, guys. Stun sound. Mic's off. He's done. See you later.
You just mute him like PTI? Or
Around the horn, yep. You can might as well call me Tony Reale.
Does he still do the show?
Oh, yeah, 100%. So that's it then. I win.
Is that a walk-off?
Do you have something to say, Cody? Because we're getting close to the end of the show here. He's done. He's done. Oh, man. Okay, so anything else you guys want to talk about?
I just have one final thought here.
Here we go. Final thought.
Just want to say that the Red Sox and the Twins going into the ninth inning.
We're on May 7th, 2017, 6:03 p.m.
6:03 p.m. It was a one-run ball game. My counterpart Cody over here, he's a Twins fan.
How dumb are the Twins? Bring up Jose Barrios.
All right.
Barrios. Yeah.
I think it's Barrios.
I don't know.
One-run game.
Somebody he better be
See,
replacing.
I thought it was Barrios, and then I thought it was
Barrios. It's
Barrios.
Barrios.
I thought I was
I thought it was
talking.
Barrios, then I thought it was Barrios. But then Max Vasgersian during the World Baseball Classics calling him Barrios. I called him Barrios before. Then Max Vasgersian comes in
You
and
can't
just,
listen to broadcasts. I learned that with Jim Nance with Wisconsin saying Illikainen when it's Illikainen.
Oh my gosh.
Well, the Red Sox scored 10 runs in the ninth inning to win.
It was a
7-6.
one-run game?
It was a one-run game going into the ninth, and the Red Sox scored 10 runs.
Did Taylor Rogers pitch in that inning for the Twins? I need to look that up because they are a competitive team if they just change a couple things. Number one, get
better.
Kyle Gibson out of the starting
Number one, get
rotation.
better.
He is. He's got optioned.
Good.
He's on the minor leagues.
Good.
And they're not even considering Jose Barrios. Who cares? They're not even considering him for Tuesday. So
he's
get in that
he's
management
gone.
room.
Because you look at who you've got.
You're
You
going
got
to go
a good Irvin
Alberto
Santana.
Mejia?
Well, he started with it, and he was pitching pretty well.
Not in the majors.
Yeah. Did you see
Not
his
in the
second start?
He's
Why are you arguing with me over my
5.64?
team? That
Guys.
I have
5.64
Guys.
ERA, man.
But what's his record? Is he winning ball games?
No.
He's not under 500, I don't believe. He's either 1-1 or 2-1. And when you consider he's a fourth man.
1-1. I don't know, man. He's pitching well in the minor leagues, but guess who's pitching better in the minor leagues? Jose Barrios.
But you've got Irvin Santana, who's
He's
one of the best
pitcher
pitchers in the American
second,
League right
second
now.
best pitcher in the AL.
Phil Hughes is having another good season. He's 4-1.
Well, wait, how many runs did Santana give up today?
Santana himself.
Sale must have given up a lot of runs too.
Probably
What's
four.
up with that?
Probably 4 or 5.
Man, that was to be a pristine matchup, but they
Santana
let
gave
up a
up
ton of
6
runs.
earned runs.
And Sale gave up how many?
Sale gave up 4 earned
Wow,
runs.
so the pitcher's duel turned into a hitter's. All right, Cody, corner, final say. It's your team. Give us a last word on the Twinkies.
It doesn't have to be Twinkies. You can,
I was going to have a final
we're
word on
closing-
something, and I just completely forgot what
We're
it was.
closing the show out. I mean, whatever.
Kyle
whatever you
Gibson
want.
is awful. That's basically what
He
you're
needs a lot of help. I mean, we've given him so many chances. But no, I'm pleased at this point that we're towards the top of the AL Central right now.
Right. Right. I mean, you're right there in the race. So we will have another show.
Final thought. Now I can't remember. All right, just because I got to get it in because it was pretty important. Anyone, if you are down in any situation, I want you to look up that Anaheim Ducks comeback against the Edmonton Oilers.
Right.
Less than 4 minutes to go, they pull the goalie.
Anything is possible.
And get 3 goals to tie it up at 3, go into double overtime and win 4-3 to get it. A 3-2 lead in the series. They're going to look to close it out today against the Oilers. And, I mean, that was probably the greatest comeback you might ever see in a hockey game.
And Capital Region fans, while that didn't happen necessarily to you that bad, it's happened twice where you were up 1 goal and at one point 2 goals in game 2 on the Senators, and twice you did the similar thing. So way to rub the wound in the Capital Region Ranger fans.
And not only that, but the Ducks, who are the Ducks goalies? Ducks go with John Gibson and James Reimer. They amaze me.
Optimus Rhyme? Optimus, you're going to question Optimus Rhyme? He's questioning Optimus Rhyme.
And by the way, the Predators have beaten the Blues, so the Predators are going into the Western Conference Finals.
You don't know anything about hockey, John, but you got to admit that's a great nickname.
That's a great nickname.
All right, thank you. All right, that's it, Cody. I'm cutting you off. So this has been the Sittin Sportside podcast. That was Cody Marshall.
What about you? What do you got to say?
John Lawn.
To walk off.
What do you mean to walk off?
What's your final?
We've talked about a ton here on the Sittin Sportside podcast. My final thought of the podcast. Well, I feel like I initiated a lot of thoughts on this podcast, but a final thought on the podcast? Whew, that's a big one right there. Okay, all right, here we go. See, I was going to go to the NBA being, not that exciting, but we talked about that. So, really putting me on the spot here because I already used up all my ideas. But here we go. My final thought here. The Chicago Cubs have been pretty lackluster in a way to start the season. Are they just holding back now is my question. Are they just like, we still got to find our footing here. We don't necessarily need to go full throttle because Lester struggled, Lackey struggled, even Arrieta hasn't been the best. Kyle Hendricks has been their best pitcher. He was best pitcher last year, in my opinion, but I think the Cubs might just be like, you know what? We're good. We don't need to try our hardest until August comes around. Yeah?
I mean, you look at that division right now.
The Reds of the
division is struggling.
The whole division's right around 500.
Right. And so, but I was going to say the same thing. The Cubs pitching is going to get them in trouble if they can't figure it out.
My final thought, Eddie Butler, going to be a huge, big part of the rotation soon, maybe even as soon as this week, if not a couple months down the road. Eddie Butler, all right? Pick him up in your fantasy leagues, all right?
Take that for data.
All right. This has been the Sittin Sportside podcast for Cody Marshall, John Lonton, I'm Eric Hammond. Keep your eyes on youtube.com/team1045 for other Sittin Sportside podcasts. Thanks for listening right here on 1045theteam.com. We'll see you next time.
Can't wait.